I'm just going to watch you do that for a while. Welcome to this week's episode of the Jibber Jabber Deep Dive. You guys voted, and we're doing it. It's Rocky 4. We've been wanting to do this one for a long time, eh, Kev?
Yes, any Rocky, to be fair.
Aye, I mean, are you a big Rocky fan, or?
I mean, I've seen a couple of them.
State of
you! Who's not a Rocky fan? I think anybody that grew up in the 80s, 90s, if you didn't watch Rocky, you pretty much lived under a rock. See what I done there?
I like that. I like what you did there.
Do you know, it's funny, we've been a podcast for 2 years where we've offered deep dive selections to our audience for so long, and never have we done a Rocky episode, yet two of us are like walking Rocky encyclopedias, right?
Pretty much. It's one of the weird little anomalies that we'll never figure out, but we're doing it now. So
exactly. So we actually gave you guys the opportunity to vote on which Rocky you wanted to see us deep dive first, from Rocky 1, 2, 3, and 4. And again, none of those little, Rocky 2, he's back this time. It's just Rocky 1, 2, Rocky 2, 3, and 4, right?
It was Rocky 2, Rocky's Revenge, Rocky 3, Rocky Goes Clubbing, and Rocky 4, Sex, Robots, and Communism, or something like that. I can't remember.
I can't actually wait to talk about this, because there's as much as I grew up watching this as you did.
I was going to ask you, do you have like a first memory of seeing it, or is it one of these ones that is just so embedded in your brain that you can't remember the first time you've seen it?
No, the very first one I ever seen was Rocky 3. And to me, that was Rocky, the movie. And then I went back and watched the first and second. And then I came to the fourth. And when the fourth came, man, it hit me harder than Drago hit the Apollo Creed.
I'd only ever seen 4 up until, I think I seen 4, and then I think I seen 5, and then I seen 1, 2, and 3. But that's only because I bought them on DVD. So I didn't see Rocky until I was about 20.
What?
No, the first Rocky film, I didn't see it till way later on. But I think I went to watch it one time, but we'd hired it from the video shop, and the video was so old that it was just unwatchable. We couldn't get the tracking right, and I remember tracking. And so as a result, I never watched it until I was about 20, and I loved it, even though I was expecting Rocky 4 again, but what I got was a very serious sports drama, and I loved it.
Yeah,
loved it.
Well, we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that. Before we do, what?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think you're going to read out exactly what I'm going to talk about. I was reading the Facebook comments earlier on when you posted about us doing Rocky 4, and a guy by the name of Aleister Neil, who we met at some convention somewhere.
Come on, likes to dress sci-fi.
He goes for love of sci-fi. I think that kind of fits based on the fact that he dresses as a predator. Very good predator costume, by the way.
The best I've seen.
It's movie perfect. So well done. But he actually gave a little story about the first time he's seen it, which was on the release night, and the place was packed. It was a good atmosphere. And tell everybody what happened during the film.
Oh no, you tell him. You've got this one.
Oh, can I? Oh, thanks, man. I was passing you the torch for this one.
That's all good.
But I think it's this could happen anywhere, but the way it's worded is the most Scottish thing that could ever happen in a cinema. And it's, spoiler alert, if you've never seen Rocky 4, I'm going to tell you a massive spoiler. The moment where Apollo Creed dies, according to Aleister Neil, somebody in the crowd stood up and shouted, "That big Russian bastard just killed Apollo." Could you imagine being in a cinema in 1985 and hearing that? The guy that stood up and did it was probably wearing a leather jacket, had a bit of a fro and a massive moustache.
Big Russian
probably Doc Martens. I don't know. That's what I'm seeing. But that big Russian bastard killed Apollo.
That big Swedish Russian bastard. It would have been something to have seen that in the cinema. It's definitely something we would have put on our cinema takeovers by now had the lockdown not happened. But yeah, we
the
will.
World not being grounded.
We did. We put out a lot to the social media, asking everybody to kind of share their memories of watching Rocky movies on the whole, and specifically Rocky 4. And like J-Mac had just said there, that was one of the comments we got from Aleister there. We will get to those towards the end of the show, the rest of them. But just so you guys are aware, you guys can also interact with us by going to our social media and liking our Facebook, following us on Twitter, check us out on Instagram, hit the subscribe on YouTube, even give us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening to this, be it YouTube, hit the subscribe button. If you're listening on Spotify, hit the follow. Just anything you can do to kind of help us climb the charts. That way we'll rank, and if we rank, more people know about us, then we can monetize them, then we can make money and make this our full-time jobs, and then that way you get more content. So in a roundabout way, it's all for you. So
it's all for you.
All for you. So if you guys could go ahead and do that, reviews would be absolutely appreciated. We might be really, really bad. We might suck rotten. But we're not going to know this unless you tell us. So go ahead and leave us a 5-star review.
Rotten. That's a new expression. Like, we might suck rotten.
We suck rotten. That's a t-shirt.
Suck rotten.
or a hoodie. Exactly. Also, the best part of actually getting, going and liking our Facebook page, we'll add you into the Jibber Jabber community where you can select the movies that we talk about. We give you a choice, and you guys go ahead and vote on the poll. And even if the movie that you'd really love to see us cover is not on that poll, drop us a message and we'll put it on it, and we'll go ahead and see what you guys think, and we'll do an episode on that. But today, you guys have chosen Rocky 4, and I think I know why. I know why they chose Rocky 4. You know why, J-Mac?
I think I know why. It's because it's not the best Rocky film, but it's the best Rocky film.
Aye, because that bastard's just killed Apollo.
There's just something about it that's kind of endlessly watchable.
Yeah, I found
it's almost sad that it's less than 90 minutes long. I think
mate,
it might be bang on 90 minutes.
I watched it today.
I think we keep talking over each other.
What were you saying?
I think about maybe 78 minutes of that is montage. It's apparently Stallone's version, his original cut of the film, was a lot longer. It was around about 2.5 hours. Now, what was in that extra hour? I'd like to know. Because it's one thing I think it does suffer from is the film moves far too quickly. But we'll get into that.
The film itself cost 30 million to make and made worldwide 300 million. So we can't say it's a flop.
In 1985, that's impressive.
That's big money. That's that's around at the time they all get, a record company gave Deep Purple, each member, £1 million to reform the band that they had all split, and that was considered a lot of money then. So just think about that.
That's incredible.
That's some cheese. And to think that, the studio MGM did not want Sylvester Stallone to play Rocky, but they wanted Rocky, and they tried to kind of fob him off. Like, how much was it? £1 million to buy Rocky when he was broke?
The original one, no. I think to buy the original script off him, I think they were looking for $300,000. They offered him, and he had no money in his bank. They offered him $300,000 for the script, but he said no because he wanted to play Rocky. And now we get Rocky 4.
That's something to believe in something that much kind of has the spirit of Rocky right there from Sylvester Stallone.
Absolutely. I mean, it's almost like the script for Rocky is almost the real life struggle that he had to actually get it made. And like I said, Rocky 1's a very different type of film. They gradually, Rocky 1 and 2 are very similar. Rocky 3 starts going really for It's a bit of a popcorn film
Machismo.
with some of the dramatic elements from the first two, like with Mickey dying and stuff like that. He does make the funniest noise.
I know, right?
Obviously, we're here to talk about Rocky 4, but there's a bit in Rocky 3, Mickey dies, and he's lying next to him. He's like, Mick. It's that little noise.
And you know what's funny? Mick was quite a prick. Mick the prick. Do you not think so?
He was, but he brought out the best in Rocky. And
yeah, bum.
The franchise wouldn't be what it is without Mick. But again, he's not even in Rocky 4 yet. We're still talking about him. Still talking.
It's really hard to talk about any Rocky movie without referring to the full franchise, really, because Rocky's journey, and I find myself as a child watching the original Rocky's great, right? But I find myself relating more to Rocky now as Rocky Balboa. You know, the old guy.
I think I certainly identify with that. As you keep reminding me, I'm the old Crabbit guy. It seems to be my role in this podcast these days, is just to get old and start bashing things that don't work.
See that? Fuck all happening. Fuck all happening. Aye, for sure. So we can be different carnations of Rocky himself.
Different carnations.
Incarnations, sorry. My throat. The best.
Aye, my throat makes me say words wrong.
Fuck up with your logic, okay? Fuck that shit up right now.
It's like, you know what I could go for my dinner? Some spaghetti bolognese. Oh, my throat, man.
Bolognese.
Thick off. My throat again.
I find Rocky, Sylvester Stallone looked incredible in Rocky 4.
Oh, absolute specimen.
And then the face as well, really young.
He looks slimmer. I mean, I think he did kind of. I don't know if he had work done back then, man. I don't know. It's hard to say. I think there might have been something going on between Rocky 2 and 3. In fact, it's even addressed in Rocky 3. Paulie says to him, he's like, "Look at you! You got your face fixed up, handsome." Like something had happened. That was when he was having an argument with him in the car park and tries to kick the shit out of him and throws his watch. I don't need a watch.
Mate, Paulie's also an MVP.
Oh, shout out to Paulie, by the way. In fact, in Rocky 4, Paulie is he's still Paulie. He's a mooching dick. He really he's just. I don't want to talk about it yet because we'll kind of go through the film as it goes. But he's such an ungrateful dick. For the most part, he has his little shiny moments. But my favorite thing he ever said was in Rocky Balboa, Rocky 6, when he goes to the restaurant to see Rocky, and they've got the new kind of woman at the reception, and it's Lil Marie, and she's like, "Can I help you?" And he's just like changing the channel on the TV, and she's like, "Do you have a reservation?" And he goes, "Do I look like a freaking Indian?" What a great line.
We all know someone like Paulie, right?
I don't, and I think if you don't know Paulie, it's probably you. I think I might be Paulie.
You're the one I know that's like Paulie. But shout out to Burt Young. We actually met him, which for me was incredible, and yourself. He's getting on now, and we kind of understand why you wouldn't have him in another Rocky movie. He's there, but
yeah, he's suffering with something that I hope that we all get to suffer with one day, which is old age.
Yeah,
it's starting to get the best of him now, but he's it
really
just
nice
seems
guy.
like such a kind of genuinely nice human being.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we just kind of walked up to him and he was happy just to shake her hand, say hello, and big up to Burt Young.
Yeah, it was such a good moment for us being able to meet Burt Young, right?
Every time I watch a Rocky film, there I look at him and go, "I've met him."
Same.
It just sends you a wee warm kind of feeling up your spine.
And Carl Weathers, mate. I was watching
I
that.
know.
I was watching it today, going, "Yeah, I sat and spoke to this guy."
Yeah,
Love it.
It was a pretty sweet moment in life.
It was. It definitely is.
All thanks to the fact that I had the idea of doing this podcast.
And you proper steered us on and pushed all these. Do you know? It was for me. It was very surreal to do that, right? But one day we will speak to Sly himself, because I think speaking to him would be like proper bucket list. You know what I mean? Like Rocky Balboa for any kid isn't like, when we look at boxers, who's your favorite boxers? People say Rocky. Rocky was never a boxer; he's a character, right? But when you think about the greatest boxers, Rocky shows up in that conversation, right? And
I think for certain people, probably. I think, like for me, as soon as you mention boxing, the first thing that comes into my mind is Rocky. But that's because I'm a movie guy. There'll be some people, you mention boxing, the first name they'll think of is Mike Tyson or
Muhammad Ali,
or even somebody like Ricky Hatton, Joe Calzaghe. These names will come. That'll be the names that people just click. But with me, it's always going to be Rocky, even though it doesn't exist.
And there are statues of him in Philadelphia.
I know.
Right.
I talk about this guy quite a lot. I mention him quite a lot in the podcast.
Wait a minute, doesn't Philadelphia have a great boxer? Who's the best boxer that came out of Philadelphia?
I couldn't tell you, man.
There is a boxer that's very famous. Say what you're going to say. I'm going to Google
it. Bill Burr. Again, Bill Burr. I've mentioned him a few times. Excellent stand-up comedian from Boston. He went on stage in Philadelphia one night after a few other comedians had been on. It was like a big show that was going on, and the crowd were just being absolute arseholes, right? I don't know what was wrong. The atmosphere just wasn't right. Everybody was getting booed for nothing, and it was just horrible. So he just went out on stage and berated them. He berated the city of Philadelphia for 10 minutes. And one of the best things he said was that you guys base your lives against a guy that didn't even fucking exist. So you've got statues of him and everything. He's not even fucking real. But he's real in our hearts.
And the best thing is, Joe Frazier is from Philadelphia.
Joe Frazier, who was in Rocky.
And he doesn't even have a statue. He's an actual boxer.
Yeah.
They're like, fuck off, Joe. We want Rocky. Fuck off, Joe. You half-fit boxer. You'll never be as good as Rocco. How do you beat a guy that doesn't exist?
You can't. That's it. It's like trying to catch smoke. You just can't do it.
No.
So Rocky 4 starts with a reminder of what happened at the end of Rocky 3, which was the fight with Clubber Lang, played by the abominable Mr. T, who is scary as fuck looking, by the way. See those close-ups of him, kind of that angry face throwing punches? He's one mean-looking guy.
You didn't think it could get any meaner, right, till Rocky 4?
Opponent-wise?
They had to up the game.
They start with that just to remind us that Rocky's a good boxer, like we'd have forgotten. And then it moves on to the way that Rocky 3 did end with a fight between him and Apollo, just in private, to see who was the best. Now, we never get to see that fight. We might talk later on about what happened in Manchester with regards to finding out who won that fight.
Well, if we don't talk about it now, I think we'll forget it.
I'll remind you. All right? Because it's quite a long story.
It's not really.
So we get that scene, and it ends on the same freeze frame that Rocky 3 ends on, and they're just both about to punch each other, and that's how there's a kind of freeze frame, and then it cuts to Rocky pulling into his driveway in a very, very pretty Lamborghini. Now, I noticed in that scene he's wearing a hat. Now, it's not his usual fedora. It's not the Rocky hat. It's a weird looking chimney sweep thing that Apollo gave him, apparently. Now, I came to a conclusion as to why he was wearing that hat in that scene. And it was to kind of not so quickly jump to his new hairstyle. I think if you look at his hair between that fight and then getting home from that fight,
right,
his hair's changed by a few years.
Right,
But they
smart.
cover it up with a hat until they're sitting, until they're indoors. So a wee transitional scene.
Aye, and I'm right in thinking it's after that scene it then skips to 5 years later, right?
No, it doesn't skip.
Is it not skipping 5 years? Or because it's just when they're saying Apollo has been retired now for 5 years, but then I suppose that was 5 years from Rocky 3 then.
Yeah, so did they have another fight with Apollo?
Who?
See, this is where I'm getting confused now. See, there is a little problem with timelines in the Rocky franchise, just by simply looking at the age of his son, right? Because I don't even remember seeing his son in Rocky 3. If he is in it, he's not in it much.
He's in it. He runs through the corridor and the wife picks him up. Talia Shire.
Yeah, but the way this film starts is like it's supposed to be literally just after the fight that he has with Apollo in private, because he comes home for the fight and he's got the black eye. Who gave you the hat?
Yeah,
Who gave you the
friend.
eye? Same friend. So I think the fight has just happened, but his boy somehow is years older. So I don't quite understand that. And then when he goes on to Rocky 5, it's just as he gets back from Russia, and his son's about fucking 15. I just don't quite understand the timelines, but you can forgive it because it's Rocky.
Aye, that sounds about right.
I mean, you're fucking boring me.
No, I'm just trying to I'm just trying to kind of put that all together in my head, and I can't, so we're just going to go, oh well. But he's back now from his fight with Apollo, and Apollo's now, but here's what I don't get as well, right? And this is kind of where we need to talk about that fight between the actual fight. So Apollo's like, this in Rocky 4, Apollo's whole purpose is I need to know that I'm still good and I need to prove it, right? He just beat Rocky in a fight that only they two know about. He should know.
But I don't think anybody
knew at that point. Like
nobody knew. Stallone didn't even know at that point who won that fight.
Right, maybe.
So I think he did. I think he did have something to prove to himself. But so we get the birthday scene. It's Paulie's birthday, and he gets given this state of the art.
Stop calling him names. I wait any longer. It'll be next year's birthday.
It's a great looking guy. But Rocky gives him a robot for his birthday, and he just looks at it and he's like, "What the hell is this?" And he's like, "I wanted a sports car for my birthday, not no walking trash can." It's like, well, you're welcome, you sponging dick.
I know, right?
But again, this is just old Paulie. He never appreciates anything. But that robot kind of becomes it's a definite character in the film. It's something that everybody. I remember I seen it as a kid, and I was like, I want one of them.
Yeah.
I don't think I wanted it for the same reasons that Paulie started enjoying it. I'm pretty sure he was doing naughty things to that robot.
It even started busting his chops like a proper wife.
I know. And then that line when they're just about to leave for Russia.
Well, when I come back, her wires are getting tied. Why? Why, Paulie?
I'm starting to wonder if the spray cream that it gets in the face at the start is some kind of euphemism. I think old Paulie does some dirty tricks with that robot. Yeah. And then we get introduced to the Dragos, who are probably two of the prettiest people on the planet. Certainly at that time. I mean, Bridget Nielsen was beautiful back then. She's a really handsome looking woman. She's tall. She's got long legs. She's got that little cute mole on her face. Beautiful face.
I never remembered looking at her when I was watching Rocky 4 and going, yeah, brother.
If anything, I didn't until today.
If anything, more I was like, Sly married Bridget Nielsen. Oh, all right.
Do you think when they went on nights out, Sly wore high heels?
I think the real beauty of Rocky has always been Adrian.
Nah.
Maybe not the first one. She kind of came into her own about the number 3.
Yeah, once she got rid of the bowl cut, she is definitely prettier in Rocky 4. But nah, man, I think Bridget Nielsen has the points on that one. I don't think she just looks strong and.
Is that maybe because she's hanging out with Big Ivan?
No, it's because she looks strong. She looks like a strong woman. She's a swimmer. She's a swimmer. She's got strong legs. Num, num, num. But yeah, so we get introduced to the Dragos and we find out that Ivan Drago is one of the scariest MRFers on the on the face of the earth. He's just such a huge, imposing character. Obviously, they use camera angles and that to accentuate it, but as soon as you see him, you're like, this guy is going to be a good villain.
A chump.
You history, chump. You history. A lot of Muhammad Ali coming out in that scene. I think.
Yeah.
If you look at the earlier films as well, I think there's a lot of kind of characterizations of Muhammad Ali in Apollo Creed.
Did you not see with the whole recap of Rocky at the start? Did it not kind of get you like, right, we're watching another Rocky movie here? I find
Absolutely.
Rocky does that really well. It plays a lot on its past and kind of just builds you so that even if it doesn't deliver, you're like, fuck it, it's Rocky. You know what I mean?
I've never seen one that didn't deliver.
Yeah.
Except maybe Rocky 3. For me, Rocky 3 is the weakest link. I know that traditionally it's Rocky 5, but I prefer Rocky 5 to 3. I've said that before. But we might talk about Rocky 5 another day.
Mm-hmm. So Apollo Creed, very cocky, right? And I kind of was like, wait a minute. See if I was the Russian guy coming over to America, right? And being looked at like what? Kind of being treated the way that Ivan Drago's being treated. Oh, he's Russian, right? And didn't tell me that Apollo Creed wasn't kind of discriminated against him because he was for Russia. Because he was,
course.
right?
He was at the height of the Cold War.
Right. So tell me this, right? If you're the Russian guy and Apollo Creed treating you the way he's treating Ivan Drago, are you not going to punch the life out of his puss?
The thing is, it was one thing I didn't quite get was why. I mean, Apollo, when he's talking to Rocky just before he has the match with Ivan Drago, when he's talking to Rocky in the dressing room, talking about how important the fight is and how it's us against them, and you know all the stuff they say about basically
East versus West.
I love songs like that, songs that just tell the exact plot line of the film.
He gonna die.
Gleam in the cube. So Apollo is kind of illustrating to, like, Rocky's saying, it's just an exhibition, it don't mean nothing. And he's like, no, it does mean something. This is us against them. So he feels that strongly about the match, yet he didn't feel the need to train for it.
I know, right?
I don't know if that's a plot hole or if it just showing you how cocky he was.
Well, maybe it was this. Maybe he had his own 3 montages, right? But when they took into account that there was already 30 montages in the movie, they were like, we got to cut a couple montages. Paul, you'll not need them. You'll be dead.
It's just montages of him eating different types of sugary cereals.
Like, what makes that's so true, right? He's 5 years retired and doesn't have any montage, no training or nothing, to the point where Rocky's like, maybe we should postpone. He's like, postpone with some other guy come up and knock his jump.
Why is Apollo all of a sudden an 80-year-old fucking harmonica player?
Do you know, I think kind of had it coming, and this is the first time I'll say it. After watching it again the day, I was like, he had every opportunity to kind of no-day that. Go on and no-day that.
Do you know, when you're watching that fight, I mean, it's the spectacle of it at the beginning, like with Drago standing in the middle of the ring, and then the ring kind of pops up, and you've got James Brown singing an entire song.
A full song
gets sung. It's like, it's only 90 minutes runtime, but it's filled with
Full
such
songs.
nonsense, full songs, and 25 minutes of montage, plus the flashback at the beginning to Rocky 3. I think they filmed about 10 minutes of footage for the new film.
That's so true. Do you know what? I'm going to just do this right now. I'm going to, in a nutshell, Rocky 4, right? We should make this a segment, Kevin's in a nutshell, right? Okay, ready? Tons of Rockies happen. Rocky goes home, buys Polly a robot. Rocky's pal wants to fight Russian. Russian kills Rocky's pal. Insert 30 montages. Rocky beats Russian. Big speech. The end. That is Rocky 4.
It is.
There's really no in between, is there?
It's almost like the Never-Ending Story, which is the most ironically named film ever made, because obviously it's not never-ending. It's only on for 90 minutes. Also, not a lot actually happens in it if you look at it in the grand scheme of things.
There's not even a point. Do you know as well? Sorry to cut you there. There's not even a point. Like, see when Apollo goes down, it's automatically accepted. So when's the fight happening with you and Rocky? December 25th. At what point was like, do you know what? I need to fight him. I put a challenge it to you. None of that. It was already like the fight's happening. December 25th. It was already.
This is where I think there was an hour of that film that was lost, and I think that it should be longer.
Yeah,
it should be longer. The thing is, I feel like I'm doing nothing but hating on the film now, but I
no,
love it.
Absolutely not.
I don't understand how I can pick so many holes in it and find so many problems with it.
Right.
But it's still one of the best films ever made. So when the fight starts, that's what I was going to say. When the fight starts between Apollo and Drago, and you see Drago just kind of holding back and just taking punches, and you're like, okay, what's going on here?
One hell of an entrance, though, by the way.
It's like the thing is, what I don't understand is why was Drago just standing in the middle of the ring?
Because he's Russian.
Was he told by somebody, just stand there a minute, mate?
The ring kind of comes up through the ground, does it not?
No, it raises up, but did he think that that's where the fight was going to be? With no audience in a basement? Because when it goes up and he sees everybody, he's like, what?
Maybe it's because they were like, you know what? You're Russian. You probably don't want to walk out that way.
I don't know. I think it just looked good for the camera. It was a spectacle, like I said. But so he comes up, and then obviously Apollo Creed's doing his "I want you" that he was doing in the first movie.
Whoa, Balboa!
The George Washington call to arms thing. We want you. So was it George Washington? Correct me if you're American. I don't know. Anyway. So the fight starts, he's holding back, like he's just taking punches, Apollo's doing all the punching. You think, is he just going to wait until he's tired and then knock him out? And then as soon as he throws that first punch, the use of sound in that fight is genius.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes from kind of slightly exaggerated punching noises to every punch sounding like somebody's smacking a cardboard box off a bell. And it's just huge, these huge sounds every time Apollo gets punched, and you can almost feel it. It's actually, I mean, as cheesy as it is, it's really good use of sound, and I did take note of that.
The first kind of part I knew that he was done was when he's like that with the gloves, and he puts the gloves down, and Drago's hands don't move, and he's like,
you lose.
I felt quite bad because I'm watching Apollo Creed getting punched. And punched, and I'm like, Rocky, throw the damn towel! Long before that's even being said, man. You know?
You can add in the sound to that bit.
So, do you know what, though, right? The moment where Creed goes down and we notice that final blow that kind of happens in the light where you see the soul being sucked right out of Apollo Creed. Boom, his soul just goes, see you later, mate, I'm out of here, right?
Yeah.
And he falls. And Rocky goes, and I even sent you the clip of it today, right? And I did, right? I watched as Rocky's cradling Apollo Creed, and he looks up, and he's just staring Drago, and Drago's staring back at him. I got such chills, man. I was like, here we go. And I'm like, I know I've seen this movie 100 times, man. I know the story, but just to see Rocky and Drago staring each other down, man, I was like, yeah, like I'd never seen it. I'd pay to watch it, right?
Also, this episode is brought to you by Hugo Boss.
I know, right? Oh, mate, where's your? I thought you were going to gimmick a hoodie.
I totally forgot, man. I totally forgot. I was just going to put a hoodie on and just like write Hugo Boss on a bit of paper and just stick it there. I know I had one too, but like I said, I think somebody binned it.
Yeah, wife.
Then we get it's Apollo's funeral. Dance. So we get Apollo's funeral next, which the funeral scene never really. I mean, I never really found it particularly emotional or anything. But
No.
what I did find was there was one day where I think my wife was on holiday with her mum and my son. I couldn't get the time off work, whatever. And I decided I was going to have a Rocky day in the house. And I watched all of the Rocky films in one day. All of them in one day.
Yes.
And because I'd watched the first three and then that one at Apollo's funeral, I did actually find it upsetting. I think because you've been on that, I was on that journey the whole day, and you kind of you fall in love with the characters, and then he just gets taken away. It's like when you binge watch a TV show and a character dies off, and you're like, oh my god, I can't believe they're killing him off already. And then it's not until you see it already, and then you realize that you're 5 seasons in. But that's what it felt like. I feel like that when you watch the full story, that scene has a lot more of an impact.
Do you know? I think the reason that scene, because if you look at when Mick died, he's like, no, 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 no. He's not like that when Apollo dies. He's more vengeful, right? But I think they saved the sad scene for when it comes to, no easy way out. And I remember watching it and I'm looking at it and I'm going, he's driving sad. He's driving. He's like this. We're not indestructible. Like, everybody get desperate. He's like, I'm so sad. My pals need...
All that was missing was the raindrops going down the windows.
Not knowing if we're dead or alive.
No, it's not knowing if we're dead or alive.
So true. But even that, again.
He's the only angry faces. Pray that could hear you and me. Talking about what it might have been. Talking about what it used to
be. Oh, man.
This is turning into a pantomime.
Oh, but that.
Thinking about what it used to be.
There you are, thinking about what it used to be. My pal wasn't dead. That's what it used to be. I think Rocky feels a ton of guilt because Rocky knew it. Rocky knew that he wasn't going to beat Ivan Drago. He didn't want to say it, but he knew it.
Yeah, he knew, and he should have threw the damn towel.
Throw the damn towel.
He should have thrown in the towel. I don't think there's any debate about that. Even Rocky, he knows at the moment that he should have done it, but he was basically adhering to Apollo's wishes not to throw in the towel. It's Apollo's own fault that he died.
Oh, absolutely.
But Rocky is going to blame himself. He can't not blame himself. But he was just kind of sticking to the wishes of Apollo, so you can't really hold it against him. One of the standout performances in this film is Duke. He's actually a really good actor. Like he emotes really well. Especially that throw the damn towel. You can feel his pain. You can totally feel his pain. And even when he's shouting at the Russians he's like, this is an exhibition. And he's shouting, and you feel it. You feel like it's a true to life performance. But he was bloody good in that film.
Yeah, and you've kind of seen him from the start as well.
Say that again.
That's what
you went quiet.
That's what I really like about the Rocky movies is the same characters. He's been in there from the start as well.
Yeah, he was Apollo's original trainer.
Speaking of people that have been there from the start, I think we always look past such a strong character that is Adrian, Talia Shire. She's always the mother and kind of consciousness of what the real severity of the scenario is, and she's always there as the voice of reason. And I think people just gloss over her. Like, of course, that was the love story between Rocky and Adrian, but she when you're sitting at home or when you're watching it with your mum or whatever, or your wife, and like, oh, I wouldn't. She represents that and every that part of the brain for everyone. Like, Rocky, how long can you do it? She's the voice. She's Rocky's conscience, and it kind of does. If you rewatch these movies and go through it, you see that she is the strong one of them both, even though he's the fighter. And I think when it gets to Balboa, spoiler alert, spoiler alert.
Oh, is that your throat again?
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
I keep mocking that bit, but it was actually bloody good acting when Mickey died. Sorry, I'm going to say that.
But when she's dead in Rocky Balboa, and you can really feel that he's missing that, and the Rocky franchise misses that. So I think, well done, Adrian and Talia Shire.
I do remember it's the bit in Rocky 2 where she's just came out of the coma after having the wee boy, and
my kid. I always calls him my kid.
And Rocky's talking to her, and she's like, "There's just one thing I want you to do." And he's like, "What's that?" And she just says, "Win." And you just hear that bell, ding, and it just gets you so pumped. Just her saying that one word, "win," and she smiles at him like, "You go for it, man." But in this one, she's like, "Do not fucking go for it."
He will kill you. Stay away.
Yeah.
She even says, see that part where she looks at Rocky. She goes, "But Rocky, you can't win."
So you've seen him, you know how strong he is. You can't win.
Yeah.
And I think Rocky knows that he knows that at that point in time she is right. He can't win. He wouldn't have been able. Nah, that's why we need a montage.
Can't win.
Even Rocky had a montage.
Yeah.
Shout out to Team America.
Yeah. I think, when they say that Ivan Drago is this almost laboratory created fighter, there's one thing he was missing that Rocky had and he didn't. Fucking heart.
It's because he's a machine. He's a Soviet machine. He's there just to. He's like a human WMD.
That's like a universal boxer.
Universal boxer. Aye. GR44. Oh, he's GR13, I think. There's a film we should do, man. I love Universal Soldier.
Universal boxer.
I actually had an idea earlier on, and it was an Ivan Drago origin story. I think that could be interesting. All filmed in Russia, in Russian, with Russian actors, and we show how he was chosen to become that absolute monster. Wow. And how he got there.
That'd be interesting.
It could show you his kind of working up the ranks of the amateur scene.
So go to Patreon and support us and help us fund that.
It's going to get filmed in Russia, so it probably only costs us about £4.60.
Film it in nah.
That's including dental and medical for everybody on the crew. You have sore tooth. Get me pliers.
Mate, see with your haircut, you've got the whole Victor Drago thing going on right now.
Victor, I wish.
I said
one machine. It's one machine of a dude.
But so you're right. He does. At this point, no one believes he can beat Ivan Drago, and I don't even think he thinks he can. But I know that he's going to give it his heart. He's going to use the Eye of the Tiger. Do you remember we were at For the Love of Sci-Fi, and we were speaking to Carl Weathers, and he said, we were talking about Rocky, obviously, and he said, Rocky's more than just a movie. He says, put your hand up in here. If Eye of the Tiger ever did something and meant something to you throughout your life, and everybody put their hands up. And I think Rocky as a symbol will always kind of relate to the underdog and the will. The will to continue, regardless to how hard the road may be. And this is a prime example of that, because Rocky knows he's gone up against a killer of a fighter, and he knows that he's on the way out as far as boxing goes. He knows his time is past, yet he uses the eye of the tiger and fucks him up, boy.
We'll get to that.
I mean, is that not pretty much the movie spoken about?
Pretty
We're only
much,
missing a
pretty
couple
much.
montages.
Can I just ask one thing?
Uh-huh.
The bit with the press conference when they're talking about when the fight's going to be and the fact that it's not going to be a sanctioned fight, blah blah blah. What the fuck is Rocky wearing?
I know, it's a tracksuit thing, right?
No. It's a jacket. It's like a suit jacket, but it looks like it's made of carpet.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It does. It looks. In fact, it looks like a doormat. It looks like a doormat that he's just worn.
It's not the nicest thing.
So they're going to have the fight on Christmas Day in Russia, for reasons.
Well, they said that everybody hates Ivan Drago now, so it's not safe for Ivan, the guy that kills people with his bare hands. It's not safe for him to walk the streets of America because everybody hates what they've done to their champion Apollo Creed, and the fact that he's Russian just makes it worse. So they're going to do it on his soil. Here's something I didn't quite understand. Why did they give Rocky Russian chaperones? Like, they had no purpose.
Basically, to make sure that he didn't go anywhere or do anything that he shouldn't have been doing.
Like,
it's a communist country, man. You're not allowed to do anything without somebody say so. That was basically it. Plus, it made for a really fun montage. And so he goes to Russia. I believe that was all filmed in Canada, all the Russian stuff
with the Swedish Ivan Drago.
But interesting fact as well, actually. In fact, no, I'll talk about this at the fight. So he goes to Russia to start having montages, and they are officially the best montages in movie history.
Yeah.
If not actually some of the best scenes. Not even, you can't even just lump it down to montages. It's just some of the best scenes in movie history. They just get you so pumped. Even the music in these scenes, whether it's the score by Vince DiCola or if it is Hearts on Fire, it just gets you absolutely pumped. There's so many millions of people around the world, I guarantee, use that as motivation when they're in the gym or out for a run. But he took Paulie to Russia. What for? Moral support? Guy's a pain in the arse.
I think Rocky just wanted a free trip, but then again, Paulie didn't like it there in Russia. He's like, when does the sun come up?
It's detrimental to my sinuses. I like when he falls in the snow. He goes to step into the snow and it's much deeper, and he just goes, oh. It's the same noise twice. It's just been looped.
Knock him out, Rock. Yeah.
Goddamn.
I think Paulie was there for us, the audience.
Yeah, I would say so. He took Duke with him, obviously, to train to help train him. And then I think Talia Shire shows up.
She did.
She shows up after he grows his beard. So he's been there long enough to grow a beard, and that's a fucking good beard. Like, he looks good with a beard. He looks really. It's such a perfect. It's a beardy specimen.
Yeah, it's a good one.
It really, really suits him. He doesn't have a beard in films enough. He did have one in Get Carter, but it was a shit beard, and that was a shit film. And he also had one in Nighthawks, which, if you haven't seen, Nighthawks is a really good thriller. 1982, I think it came out. He's almost like a kind of Serpico looking guy. Like Al Pacino is Serpico. He's got kind of long, kind of not wavy hair, almost wavy hair, and a beard, and he's got big glasses as well. He barely looks like Stallone. And it's him and Billy D. Williams. If that is that what he's still calling himself? I know he came out as gender fluid or something recently.
Did he? Billy D. Williams?
Yeah.
Lando Calrissian?
Yeah, I can't remember if he said he was gender fluid or something like that. Hang on a
Or
minute.
acidic fluid.
I'll find out now. Billy D. Williams. Gender. Here we go.
Class dead air right there.
Oh, it's all right. You can always cut it out, but you won't. See, Billy D. Williams recently told Esquire magazine that he uses both male and female pronouns to refer to himself. Oh, I say himself and herself because I also see myself as feminine as well as masculine.
Class.
I think of myself as a relatively colourful character who doesn't take himself or herself too seriously. So I think he's just he's not gender fluid. I think he's just describing himself as somebody who just doesn't give a fuck. He just does what he does, and that's it. So you can delete all that shit, but you won't.
Ladies and gentlemen, G-Mack. So,
ladies and gentlemen, but he won't.
Yes, so he's in Russia and he's just about to hit all these really cool, badass montages. What one was your favorite?
I think it was the last one just before the fight.
The one that's called training montage.
No, I'm sure it was the training montage first, and then it was the Hearts on Fire montage. I think it's the Hearts on Fire one that's my favorite. Although I prefer the music for the first montage, but I prefer the Hearts on Fire montage.
Do you remember when we first started working together? We would be sitting in different areas and we couldn't see each other, but I would go like this, and then you would go, and we would sit and whistle parts to each other of Rocky.
And somebody will come around once and go, "Who's fucking whistling?"
Fucking doing that. Like us. Kick his ass, Seabass.
Like Kevin trying to shift the blame to somebody else. Kick his ass, Seabass. You totally went out, man.
See, Rocky's always been there. Always been there.
The guy hawked my burger.
So what happened? Did they just do that and get away? No, they caught up with them 3 miles down the highway and slit their throats.
You know what's really funny about that scene? We're digressing about the Dumb and Dumber here. He's like, no, in the movie they catch up to him half a mile down the road and slit his throat. It was a good one. And if you listen carefully, you just hear the engine revs going up. Like he's like.
Oh, good times.
Here, keep your mouth shut if you know it was good for you, buddy.
Forward. No, it's a sweater. Thanks for noticing.
Give me that booze, you little pumpkin pie haircutted freak.
Oh, right.
I love Dumb and Dumber.
Dumb and Dumber's class. That'll be on our next poll.
Yeah, it definitely
really is
will
underrated.
The best of Jim Carrey.
Oh yes, absolutely right up there. But speaking of people who are not Jim Carrey.
Yeah, speaking of anything else.
So we were stuck on this montage part, so I had to get past it, right?
It's most of the film. Like we said earlier on, the most of the film is some kind of montage, whether it's flashbacks, whether it's the training, whether it's the other training, whether it's that's it actually. I think it's 3. But they're long. That's the thing about the montages. There is only 3, but they are quite long. But I love seeing that progression. I love seeing Rocky, who you just imagine is the strongest guy in the world anyway, just getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And looking at, you can actually see him getting bigger. He did develop extra muscle doing those scenes. And you could feel his agony. And I like the comparison where it kind of showed you what Rocky was doing to develop certain muscle groups, and then showing you what Ivan Drago was doing to develop his. Drago's clearly in like state-of-the-art gym where computer systems all over the place, and Rocky's just like dragging a plow through the snow, or just running up mountains and shouting Drago at the top. It's something about that moment It's so cheesy. It's almost cringy, but because it's in Rocky 4, it's fine.
Aye, I love it.
Drago!
And did they not say that during the interview? We believe he may be on some anabolic steroid. No, our Drago is pure clean and all that. What's that stuff they're injecting in him? No, he is pure clean.
Drago was pure clean, yeah, ballbag. Get out my house, you prick.
Pure clean.
No, I believe I think they say something like there's been rumors of blood doping and widespread anabolic steroid use.
You always word it better than me, J-Mac. You always word it better than me.
And you just see what's his name? I can't remember the guy's name. He's like the diplomat the diplomat that's following him about.
Yeah.
He just, if you look, it's like really subtly, he just shakes his head to Mila, just like that. And she's like, no, even as naturally trained. It's like, no, he isn't. Even Drago's like, I'm talking piss, hen. I'm steroided up to my nuts.
It's true.
In fact, when I get home, I'm getting roid rage and battering you. So he's definitely on the roids, and it shows you that pretty plain. It's like a close-up of a needle going in and hitting his face, just like.
Do you know what's funny? See, when I was a kid, and I'm not even shitting you here, right? Genuine. You remember when you'd be at school and everybody have to line up to get their injection
of steroids? What school did you go to?
Well, I can't tell you on this, but a good one, a nice one. And
you get free steroids apparently.
No, it's your
I don't know, your MMR or
all your BCG and all this, right? Aye. So they would come into school and everybody would line up, and everybody's like this. Oh, I'm so scared, and then you would hear the whole legend of, did you hear about him? He fainted. Right? And someone would have fainted and whatnot, right? Me, I was like that. I'm gonna Ivan Drago this, right? And I remember just going like this and taking my sleeve right up, right? And they put it in me, and I'm like that. Just because I was like, if Ivan Drago can do it, then so can I. And I remember just no selling it. I was like, ah! But I was just like that, right? And I wanted people in my class to be like, this motherfucker's Ivan Drago.
See, when you pulled your sleeve up, did you tense your triceps up as well? Come on, bitch.
Maybe. I'm just like, if I die, I die. Genuinely, I'm not kidding you. That's a true story. I used to take my shot like that at school.
You just reminded me of a really good meme, and it's to do with the pandemic. But it just said most people's workplaces, only come in if you really have to. My workplace, if he dies, he dies.
If he dies, he dies. So good. See, Rocky's still around in pop culture today.
So again, you see the muscle growth. You physically see the muscle growth on Stallone, and his beard obviously gets better and better. I kind of wish he'd left it on for the fight. I don't know why. I just thought it could have made it a really interesting image. But just on the subject of the steroids again, Stallone actually asked Dolph Lundgren to take some steroids when he was training for this film.
Wow.
So that it could make him even bigger and more threatening. And I think Dolph Lundgren did agree to do it, but he took an allergic reaction to it, so he can't take steroids. So
and that allergic reaction was the reason he had hard learning to say the whole movie.
So what you see on Dolph Lundgren is all natural. There's no steroids with that guy. He is an absolute specimen.
Yes, and mate, he can speak like 20 languages. You know that.
I think he's a chemical engineer, like qualified chemical.
Yeah, that's
engineer.
right. He went to university.
He's just, again, a bit like Patrick Swayze, one of these guys you would just hate at school because he could do everything. But yeah, a really impressive guy. I think he was underutilized. Not underutilized. I don't think he had the charisma really to be a proper movie star I mean, he is in my eyes, but not in the eyes of the world.
Yeah.
I think he never, any film where he was the leading man, he was just always really wooden. He's just not that good an actor, but he was so good at so many other things. He could have been anything.
And he's a black belt in karate as well.
Everyone.
Yeah, and he was a kickboxing champion also, right?
So it was handy.
And do you know what? Did he not? He made basically Sly Stallone was like, in this movie, I'd like you to hit me a few times for real. So he gets punched in the ribs by Dolph Lundgren for real, and it made his heart bounce off his fucking rib cage, and it sent him to hospital. He was literally in hospital for like 6 weeks, and they had to stop filming because of it.
I don't think it was as long as 6 weeks.
I think it was.
No, it was a good number of days, but it wasn't 6 weeks.
Was it not? Oh, well.
No, it might have been 6 days.
Maybe 6 days.
It might have been 6 days. But anyway, he puts Sylvester Stallone in hospital in ICU for 6 days with a punch. That's impressive. I mean, I'm a big Bruce Lee fan, but I don't think Bruce Lee could have done that.
No.
There's just so much power behind that guy. So yeah, big up to Big Dolph.
Yeah, one day we will meet Dolph. It's not out with our
one day when the world isn't grounded anymore.
Yeah, we will meet Dolph and we'll have him on this show 1,000,000,000%. I'm so looking forward to that. So the match goes the way you expect it. Really, to be honest, I expected the usual formula is get your ass handed to you first time, come back and win the second. But Rocky just goes all out and he's just like, I'm taking down this Russian. And by the way, note to self and to any all others, if you've got the opportunity to fight a Russian, don't.
Yeah, it's good.
Nothing good has ever come from fighting a Russian, okay?
No. Except in Rocky IV, where it ended the Cold War. But other than that, there's really never really a good reason to fight a Russian. Unless you are a Russian.
Yes.
Yes. But the fight, this final fight is possibly one of the best in movie history. I put it up there with Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee in Way of the Dragon. It starts off like Rocky's pretty much getting his arse handed to him. He gets punched halfway across the ring. You're just like, this is going well. And then he gets the better of him with one punch, and it cuts his eye. It cuts Dolph Lundgren's eye. It cuts Ivan Drago's eye. And at that moment, he starts going for it. He just starts going for it, and he's landing punch after punch. And then it cuts back to his kid watching the fight with his friends in his house, and they're kind of, get it, man, get it. And then
that's my dad, you know. I know.
What do you think we are, nerds? So you just said nerds, so you probably are. But that scene, it really gets the blood flowing. Like you can feel it coming up in your stomach, and it does what it's supposed to do. And you start getting the little breaks in Ivan Drago. Like you can see that he's not a machine. He's not a machine. He's a man. They even say it in the film just in case you didn't quite work it out for yourself.
He's reminding Rocky, see, he bleeds.
Yeah, and at that point, Ivan Drago says about Rocky, he's not human. He's like a piece of iron, and it's like a role reversal, almost like a respect that Drago gets for Rocky at that point. But there's a turning point where you really see the human side of Drago coming out, and he's not just this fighting machine that's been manufactured by the Soviets. It's when he picks up his handler, picks him up by the throat
with a boxing glove on, by the way.
Yeah, boxing glove. That's impressive.
I can't even click a mouse button with this thing on.
No. It's pretty impressive. Like, man, I thought Arnold Schwarzenegger hanging that guy off a cliff in Commando was impressive. This is more impressive. I think there might be some wires involved, people. But he picks him up and throws him away, and then he says, "I fight for me. I fight to win for me. Yasibiash." And at that point, you actually realize that he's not had a good life, Drago. His life has basically been thrust upon him. He was chosen for whatever reason, maybe he was tall, maybe he was strong, to just be a fighter for Russia. He's known nothing else. And it gets addressed in Creed that after he loses that fight, his life goes to shit.
Mm-hmm.
And
then he does the same thing to his son.
But that's what happens. Chaos breeds chaos. You know, it's I mean, how many times do you hear about people that abuse their kids, saying that they were also abused when they were kids? And you think, well, why would you do it to your kids? Oh, that's all I know. It's just things go in circles, and sometimes the circles get broken, sometimes they don't. But so I do kind of feel sorry for Drago. Not in that moment, because in that moment I just want him to lose fucking gloriously, royally. And that moment where Rocky finally gets him to hit the ground, you feel like you've been through the fight.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so well put together. Even the final fight's a montage, actually, thinking about it. So round 10.
Yeah,
we're just going to keep doing that for the rest of the... We'll just do a montage and then finish the episode.
Exactly. It's just us in slow-mo. Exactly. You finally see Rocky delivers that final blow, and Ivan Drago does not get up. He kind of tries to and then falls down, and then you
know, Dolph Lundgren must be one of the only guys that looks taller lying down.
I know, right?
It's when he's lying down and he puts one leg up like that, and you're just like, this guy's like 9'6".
I know. Yeah, he goes down, and I found the speech from Rocky, as much as it was obviously for the right reasons at the time. Shut up, Rocky! Shut up! Shut up!
In here, there are two guys killing each other. But I guess it's better than twin me. Than what? Twin me. What? Twin me. Rocky, what are you saying, mate? Twin me. Twin me. What do you mean?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It served a purpose.
Yeah, but do you know what it feels like when I watched it? It's like when some big millionaire star wins an Emmy, and they're like, you know, I just want to dedicate this to God. If we could all just stop, you know, all the pollution and just like proper give to people that need and all that, and then they bugger off back to their private jet and away they go. You know what I mean? It's just like, shut the fuck up.
No, I'm jumping on that pollution bandwagon.
Hi.
For anybody that doesn't know and wants to get involved, Viridor are intending on installing a fucking toxic waste incinerator, just outside my lovely little country village. They can the cunt doing it.
Build it.
No, not happy, man. Not happy. They haven't officially submitted planning yet, but hopefully they all die in a fire before that.
So hi.
If they die in a fire, it wasn't me.
So hi. That kind of concludes Rocky. He does his big speech, and then Hearts on Fire plays, and he does the whole up with the American flag, and even the Russians are like this.
That bit was silly. Even like the fact that the crowd actually starts to side with Rocky, you're just like, naughty, budney. Just wouldn't happen. Makes a great movie. You know what I mean? But it just...
He cheated!
What?
That's exactly most people, when their favourite guy gets beat or whatever, they're like, he cheated. I wouldn't have done this if he was wearing this size of gloves. They justify why he was beaten.
Aye.
Rather than going, do you know what? He was a better fighter.
It's like if you watch like people that they're right into football, and there's a goal by the opposite side. Oh, that was offside.
Was it?
I bet it wasn't, and I don't know what offside is, so fuck off.
So you see the Russians doing the old clapper-rooney. Everybody's friends now, and Rocky IV ends where Rocky V kind of picks up.
Yeah.
But we're not going to go into Rocky V. We're not giving it all away. In closing, before we run down the Rocky IV episode, you alluded to earlier about the scenario where the match between Apollo Creed and Rocky. It's a quick little story. We met Carl Weathers down in Manchester, and we were among some dafties who were asking stupid questions and wasting time. But we had a couple of good questions. But one guy asked, you know that fight in Rocky III where you both fight, like, who won that? And Carl Weathers' response was, man, I don't know who won it.
Carl Weathers did actually play Judd in Pet Sematary. Don't go down that road.
Man, I don't know. But he basically said he didn't know, and I stood up. And I was
buried up there. They're buried up there.
I stood up and I was like, no. I was like, I can't have this. I'm
pretty sure Carl Weathers was like, I think this guy knows something.
I was like, nope. I was like, I am not letting this go down. I am not letting Apollo Creed not know who won that fight. Right? While some wee dafty fan should have known it if he calls himself a Rocky fan. I mean, why the hell were you sitting there in front of Apollo Creed speaking to him if you didn't know? So I was like, I literally just blurted it out. I'm like, nah. I was like, motherfucker, you won. I says, watch Creed 2, because in Creed 2, Apollo's son Adonis comes to Rocky and says, who won that fight?
I think, is it not Creed 1? I think it's Creed 1 because Creed 2 hadn't come out by that time.
Yeah, it was Creed 1. And he goes, who won that fight? He did.
Do you know what? Why do we do that? Why, when a sequel comes out, do we automatically tag a 1 onto the original title?
I know.
It's like, I like Terminator 1. It's Terminator. Then it's Terminator 2. It's Rocky.
But if you just say this, if you just say, I love Terminator. Oh, what one? What one
Terminator.
are you talking about?
Let's face it, with Terminator, nobody loves the first one and not the second one.
But it's the Terminator.
It's like, I mean, you don't do it with Lethal Weapon though. It's Lethal Weapon and Lethal Weapon 2. Nobody says Lethal Weapon 1. I think it's only with certain things. I don't know what it is. It might be things that are one word. I don't know. Like Rambo 1, Rambo 2, Rambo 3, Rambo 4. Whereas it's called First Blood Part 2, Rambo 3, and then Rambo. That's what they're called. But yeah, everybody goes, oh, Rambo 1, that's good. Is it?
My actual pet peeve with the Rocky franchise is when everybody's like this. Aye, Tiger, aye, that's for Rocky.
No, it's not. It's Rocky 3, boy.
You what, motherfucker? I actually got in an argument with a quizmaster one night when I was in a pub playing a quiz.
Oh, you're one of the guys, aren't you?
Oh, no, I'm sorry, but I'll stop you right there. This is what happened, right? Right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll play the song and you tell us what movie it's from. All right? So they'll play their "Running into the Danger Zone." Oh, we've got Top Gun, right? Aye, the Tiger plays. I'm like, oh, that's easy. Rocky 3. All right, Rocky 3. So we do this for like 10 questions, and then we go over them. We pass our sheets around and we go over them. Question 2. You're right. If you wrote Rocky, you were right. That's how the Tiger. Sorry, what? Yeah. This guy's only wrote Rocky. I give him the point.
Do you know what's annoying? When that happens and then it gets agreed. Actually, you're right. It's Rocky 3. So point for Rocky 3. And every other team goes, do we get a half point for Rocky?
Oh. No! Wait, but here's the thing, right? Okay. You Could Be Mine. What movie is You Could Be Mine in from Guns N' Roses?
Terminator 2.
Right. So if I write Terminator, no, sorry. In fact, if I write Terminator Salvation, do I get the point? Do I get the point? Do I get the point? No.
Half point.
Come on, J-Mac.
I don't think anybody gets the point.
Do I get the point if I write Terminator Salvation?
No, you get a 0. Big fat 0.
But it's Terminator.
Nah, 0.
Right. Well, here's the thing. Rocky itself is his own movie. Rocky 3 is its own movie. Just like Terminator Salvation and Terminator 2, 2 different movies. So, do they get the point? Do they? Well...
And for anybody wanting to join Kevin for a pub quiz, don't.
Yeah, if you're joining a pub quiz, you better bring some of these, because I'm not being cheated. I'm not being cheated. Sorry.
In fact, watch The Office, episode of The Office, the original one, where they do a pub quiz. You are Chris Finch, right? Watch that episode, right? You're Chris Finch.
Who sang Last Christmas?
George Michael.
Right, that's right. He sang it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Wham performed it. If you look it up, the song's actually by Wham, right?
Yeah.
So if the question is, who sang Last Christmas? What's the answer?
Wham.
It's no! It's fucking no. But I got a point deducted because I never said Wham. But you asked who sang it. Wham don't sing it. George does. Wham performed it. Ask who performed it. Just ask who performed it. Don't ask me who sang it.
What I just said about not doing a pub quiz, we are take it back. We are fucking doing one. In fact, we'll do one on this, right? We'll get you, me, Todd, and I don't know, bring in Jamie Christopher or something. We'll bring in a fourth, and we'll have a quiz.
Mate, bring in people from the Jibber Jabber community, right? Right. But I swear to God, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of quizzes being wrong and people take it. People, that's so stupid. Of course, it was in Rocky, taking points off me. I'm like, you're taking my points and laughing at me, and I'm right. I'm right, and you're laughing at me. You're laughing at me, and I'm right.
So I see Kevin's in again tonight, so this is called the what's that bitch quiz? What are you saying, bitch?
I take my beer glass and I smash it. I'm like, if you're going to do a quiz, choose your wording correctly.
I've come up with your boxing nickname. You're Kev the Liability Wells.
Hey, just don't fuck me over on a quiz, okay? Right? Don't act like I'm stupid for saying the right answer. Right?
Aye, everybody wants that own brand vodka and a fucking £10 voucher.
Aye, exactly. And I won a quiz once, and it was fastest finger.
What kind of quiz was this? Was this on an 18 to 30 holiday or something?
No, it was at my old work, and they're like this. And up for grabs, a £50 Nando's voucher. Okay, first person to guess this theme song wins. I'm like, and then the song plays, and I'm like, Teletubbies! Yes! Voucher! What's the Teletubby? Use it! And the best it is, everybody's like, oh, ha, and I'm like, fucking!
Have you ever won a prize that you didn't even know you were entered for?
Sometimes,
It happened to me when I worked at Sky years ago. I was sitting on a call and somebody poked their head over the top of the pod and was like, it's like Wilson in Home Improvement. It's like, Jordan McCaig. I'm like, put my hand up because it was on a call. Mm-hmm. It's like, you've won a DVD player. This was back when DVD players were still quite expensive. And I was like, I covered up my wee mouth. I was like, how? Like, you won a raffle? I was like, fucking raffle. Well, we entered you in it. It was like the company just entered it, everybody in a raffle, and never told anybody. I'm just sitting on a call, and all of a sudden I'm walking home with a DVD player. I think you'll find I brought this with me.
Before we wrap up, speaking of raffles, do you recall that time? Were you? I don't know if you'd left in our former place of work where you, me, and Connor worked together. Connor being one of our friends, right? And I had actually asked Connor to draw a picture of our boss with big boobs. Were you there at that time?
No.
Oh, I asked Connor to draw a picture of our old boss with big boobs wearing a bikini, and that was his Secret Santa, right? So everybody's opening their Secret Santa. They open his. Everybody's laughing at him, right? He's like, ah, and he's like, oh, this is embarrassing as hell, right? He's got a framed picture of himself with tits. He sits it down and he's like, oh, class, right? And I'm like this, way along the end of the table, like that. Right? Connor's even saying, mate, the guy's clearly beside himself, and you're scream laughing in his face. Damn it, man. I'm like, ah, right?
The thing is, only Kevin Wells would draw somebody's name in a Secret Santa and think, do you know what he'd love? A picture of himself with tits.
Right, but here's the best part. The best part was this, right? He was all like this, like proper, clearly annoyed that he never got something good, even though I spent like a tenner on the frame, right? He's like this, like proper, like annoyed and kind of sad and that. Then they started drawing all the raffle tickets, and I won like everything. That's Kevin Wells again. I'm like, oh, me. This will be great. And I'm walking past him, and he's like, fucking kill me, man. And everybody's laughing, like, how would you want everything? I'm like, I know, bad karma, right?
I'll come back and bite you one time. You're going to fall out of a plane and get run over by a bus.
Exactly.
Before you hit the ground.
Oh man, I've really enjoyed this episode of Rocky 4, and it's kind of brought out a bit of our good nature where it comes to quizzes and stuff. So we are going to do that. I think we'll maybe do it as a wee fundraiser for something. Maybe get people to donate and put in questions that are movie related. We'll maybe do a live stream where we get people to come in. We'll kind of set that up. If you guys would like to see that and would like to be involved, please comment, tell us you'd like to be involved in this. Send us an email at jibberjabberscotland@gmail.com. Find us at www.jibberjabberpodcast.com, where you can find all our socials. Like us, follow us, send us a message, let us know, and we'll definitely put that together, and it could be fun. This has been an absolute pleasure talking about one of the greatest movies ever made in the 80s. Bear in mind, all the Rocky movies were pretty much made before I was born. Mental, right? Make you feel old. But
this fell off.
So on that note, thank you.
In the burning hot,
it's about to break.
Burst.
I know, but your microphone broke.
What?
Yeah, and on that note, make sure you go ahead, like and subscribe us if you could, please. Leave us a review, that would be class. Even if you hate us, let us know. If you hate us, if you don't, then let us know. And keep an eye on the Jibber Jabber community, where we'll put up the next poll for the next movie for you guys to tell us to deep dive. And I think even we should maybe do a deep dive where we get a guest on. I'm feeling that maybe we should get a guest from the community to come on and tell us their stories. Oh, yeah, actually, before we go, before we go, and J-Mac breaks his mic even worse. I'm just going to read out a couple.
I held my mic up to smile into
it. So we got Stephen Elwick Wildish, when we asked, tell us your memories of Rocky. He said classic films, weakest one is the fifth one, probably second one, probably
wrong.
But yeah, I mean, we'll get to that when we cover the fifth. That was Stephen Wildish Elwick.
Stephen Wild is that your throat again?
Stephen Wild West.
Wild West.
We've got Ross Caldwell. He says, so many things. The montages, Rocky in the car reflecting on Apollo's death. That's the no way hell. But
not knowing if you did or live.
The contrast between Rocky and Drago's training methods. Again, that's something we spoke about there. The soundtrack, No Easy Way Out, Burning Heart, Living in America. Drago's lines, I must break you. If he dies, he dies. I fight for me. These ones. And the James Brown cameo and Apollo Creed dressed as Uncle Sam. It's time to go to school, son. So this guy clearly loves Rocky, same as what we do. We've got Aleister Neil, like mentioned previously, and I will quote this word for word. I remember going to the Odeon in Glasgow for the release day. It was packed. Crowd were singing in the theatre, cheering, and one guy shouted, "You big Russian bastard, you've killed up all. You've killed up all! There's been a murder!" And he goes on to actually show that he has signed memorabilia from Drago shorts and the Balboa shorts that are actually the Creed ones. He has them signed. He also has met Dolph Lundgren, which is cool as hell. And he sometimes dresses up as Pred Drago, which is Predator, wearing Drago gear.
You need to hold that closer.
I can't, I'll go to focus.
Are you go to focus? I don't care.
Fine.
It's right at the end anyway. Look at that.
That's class, right? Exactly. So thank you guys
Looks like my ex.
Wed. So thanks guys for tuning in and for sending in your comments. If you guys like to see us do something else, let us know. But we thank you as always for checking us out and for watching this episode. My name is Kevin. You'll see me this week, next week, and every other week on the Jibber podcast. I am the, for today, Italian Stallion. This guy is J Mack.
I am.
And we will
J Mackey Balboa.
And we will see you guys next week.
See you on the flip side. I might just